The long dark spread across the surface like a bubbling tar, blotting out the sun. So many died on that day, lost in the inconceivable abominations that reclaimed the landscape. It has been years since humanity was forced into hiding, buried underneath the surface in a bid against total extermination. The old gods are dead, buried in our colosseums and monuments to our hubris and endurance. Our gods are silent, but the earth remains alive. Long have we survived on the fringes of annihilation, banked in all corners of the world, nestled and sheltered in our cages of iron and steel. We were once the kings of our world, but now we find ourselves dethroned in an exile. The surface is lost, reclaimed by the long dark above, and we are losing food and water by the day. Our civilization dwindles. With each day we pass underground. Friendships now turn to blood feuds over crumbs of molded bread. Sons begin to kill fathers over barrels of dried meat, and the waters are going dry. There are those that dare dream of other worlds that are not bound by bone and stone, of open lands where fruit once grew, and the streams were once bright with life-giving water. As mankind has done before, they find themselves hustling for ascendance, to bite into the forbidden fruit that the surface once yielded. Some say that it is foolhardy, a death sentence for those that dare brave the cavern paths above, which are uncharted and full of terror. But it is those that refuse the certain slow death of the underground world that call themselves the Luminate, the Lanterns, the Lightbringers. They seek to pave the way back to the surface in order to reclaim what was once lost, no matter what the cost. So, you guys find that the road out, which is also illuminated with, faint blue glow of the mushrooms, you notice that this area that kind of terminates at the end of the path ends into a giant opening. It's an ovular opening. There's moss and various fungus, which looks pretty much well picked. There's like small tufts of it on the walls, but nothing big enough to, merit sustenance or foraging. And the moisture here is pretty significant. You see from the top of the cave that there's a lot of, water droplets pouring down.
Alright, I guess my first thing was, I'm no tracker, but can I try a perception, see if there's any sign of recent travel through here?
Yeah, sure. I would say that's more of a survival check.
Why does this sound like my job?
I don't know, it may just be.
I
botched it anyway, but I will idly comment, maybe we can see some sign of the group.
I'll take a knee and see, are there any footprints? Is any particular part of the ground more worn in than any others? Does it look like the organized lights of the cultivated illuminated fungus are pointing in a particular direction? Just anything that might indicate a way that the target might have initially been heading.
Sure.
Is that still survival?
Yeah, I would say that's definitely survival. Because you're tracking.
Okay. Yeah. Ooh, side note. I got a funny feeling there's, big fungus out here. I don't know why. So, maybe I'm looking out for signs of that, too, because that could mean eats.
Big fungus energy.
Big oof fungus, yeah. Here we go. Wow, not much better.
Yeah, so there's a path of, picked mushrooms. You can see the stalks are still there. The caps were harvested, but the stems were kind of left there.
Right.
You see patches of moss that have been kind of carved away. Looks like someone took a knife and scrubbed alongside to kind of take out, patches of it. And you see water dripping.
Okay, what do I get with the survival check?
So Crust kind of looks down, and there's some dust by your feet. And you see that it's been kind of scuffed in a certain way. You see small footprints in the dust. They kind of lead upwards in a northwesternly direction, past a little alcove that goes into a tunnel that bottlenecks in the distance. You can't really see much of it because it is kind of dark in here. That dim glow from the town is starting to dissipate.
Alright, so what do I see?
Krusk, you start seeing that the path here is getting pretty dark indeed. It's still manageable with your natural dark vision. It's getting a little dim. Walking downstairs in the basement without a light on, dim.
Great.
Yeah, so In the dark and muddy grays that you see around you, you see a kind of similar to what you saw initially in the room that you guys came from. It's even bigger, maybe 3 times the size of the room you just came from, and there's a lot more moisture dripping down, and there's a lot more stuff harvested from this room. I mean, you could tell that there were mushroom patches all over the place in this area, and now it's calling it a small fraction of what's left is, there's really not much left.
I'm gonna comment seriously. Ugh, dank.
Okay, I got 16 on perception. Is there anything strange going on in this area?
I don't know, there's something about this area that just kind of keys you in. You've got the natural instincts coming in here. The heightened sounds of water splashing from the ceiling to the floor because there's literally nothing else to hear aside from your own breathing. It's kind of like being in a noise canceling room, if you've ever been in one. And you hear some chittering in the distance.
Troglodytes again? Should we stealth it?
You guys can roll me stealth checks if you want.
A sneak? Oh, does something come into play here because we're in the Underdark? Does that do something for me?
Yes, if you travel for more than an hour,
For more than an hour, yeah.
Ah, okay. Alright, let me just roll stealth.
Nice.
You know you're doing well when 17 is the lowest stealth check.
You guys are the knight. You guys are just
Batman.
traveling. If you guys hear even a scuff of a soul, you immediately throw up angry signs at each other. You guys feel like whoever is in the dark looking out for you, they're not going to be able to follow you.
Hopefully.
Alright, so I guess we're gonna slowly progress further into the cave, moving at sneakum speed.
Sneak speed.
Well, you said the mushrooms are very obviously harvested.
Yep.
So is it going to be easy for us to follow that path?
Yeah, actually. I mean, if you guys want to put 2 and 2 together, you do see that in the southwest, because the room kind of forks into southwest, northwest, and a northeastern passage.
Yep.
The northwest and the northeastern passages, from what you can tell in this dim luminescence, I'm assuming you guys have dancing lights or something up.
No, not unless somebody asks.
Embrin, I'd recommend that you hold on to one of your friends' cloaks or whatever.
I been putting myself kind of in between when I can, because I just imagined that I was following Crust's lead, and then that would let Carrick kind of take up the rear, since they both can see it and I can't.
That was our original marching order.
And also since Krusk was the one who got a trail to follow, I was happy to just defer and kind of follow behind him.
Okay.
Because I assume I can see at least right in front of me. So, I'm just kind of keeping an eye shot of Krusk as much as I can.
You can make out your hands still, kind of.
Kind of. It sucks to be me. Just kidding.
Man, it feels rough to be a human.
So, where do we see all those harvested mushrooms?
Northwestern, northeastern passages are very expansive and widen out quite a bit. The southwestern passage, which is closest to you right now, it kind of narrows a little bit. 2 by 2 narrow. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's where you see most of the mushrooms, the caps being taken off the stems sort of deal.
Are you leading in that direction?
Yeah.
Let's go that way then.
Sure.
I say hug this wall to our left and...
Not too tightly, though. Don't hug it too tight. Remember what happened to the last walls we had?
Yeah, after last time.
So if you guys could do me a favor and just move where you're going to be. Kresk, I'm going to let your perception check carry over from the last time. You feel a cold breeze kind of whip past your face, and it's kind of circulated. There's some sort of wind air source coming from on high that has enough force to kind of make that whipping effect.
Can you tell me anything weird about this breeze?
I mean, it's a nice breeze. It feels cool.
Can I see where it's coming from? Or
So you see, kind of similar to what you saw in the other rooms, this one has pretty gnarly stalagmites that are coming from the... Stalagmites or stalactites?
Stalactites hang from the ceiling, stalagmites come up from the ground.
Yeah, so I was right. So you see a lot of gnarly stalagmites, pulling from the ground. They're kind of curved into, I wouldn't say unusual assortments, but they're pretty sharp, terminating pike-like edges. And you hear more of that drip, drip, drip coming from the ceiling. This area here particularly is particularly dusty. Also, you're starting to feel a little bit
we're
lightheaded.
wearing masks.
Even with the masks on?
I'm sorry?
We should be, yeah.
I assumed we were wearing the masks once we left town. I probably should have like verbally checked on that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can put on the masks for free.
How about we say we backed off a step, like Azim said to, take a second, take a breath, make sure our masks are on securely, and then we proceed. Because I think she even said, like, hey, if you start to feel bad, back off for a minute.
Yeah.
So once you guys put on the masks, it's really acrid, but kind of manageable. It smells like must and mold. Pretty gross.
Great.
So...
Can I continue tracking that mushroom path over there?
You see that it goes into two different paths. One is like northwestern, if you're looking at it from up high, kind of a wide expanse that kind of pours out into obscurity. And there's a southwestern direction, which is similarly very wide and expansive, that kind of pushes onwards into obscurity.
Can I roll survival real quick? Are we allowed to roll survival here?
I mean, anyone can.
Yeah, we might as well all try, see if anybody gets particularly lucky.
Wow, he's on his A game today.
I'm on that mediocre game.
Hang on. Yow. Embrin's
Wow.
not gonna drink anymore. That's the moral of the story. Not when we're about to dive into bullshit, anyway.
So, in a rare mold-breaking moment, Krusk, you notice that the mushroom caps that have been broken off kind of go into the southwestern area. So it's kind of a straight shot from your current position.
Down this way.
You hear more of that chittering. It's coming from overhead, and you look up and the ceiling is pretty high up.
Knowledge, nature? Just nature.
Sure would be.
Oh, I don't know if Natural Explorer has kicked in yet, but does your favored terrain give you any advantage on this?
What I'm trying to figure out is, like, is this something similar to what I've heard before, having lived underground most of my life? Like, is that a bat? Is that something nasty? Is that something I don't know at all? Is it giving me the creeps? So that's kind of what I was hoping to consult with the nature check there.
That's a good question. Yeah, so I'd say that your time in the Underdark has been such that you've heard, like, I mean, there's all matters of creepy crawlies that hang underground in caves. I mean, there's bats, you've got your snakes. Yeah, snakes
Sweet.
exist in caves. Mollusks, crustaceans of all kinds, depending on, how deep the water source is. Could be a bunch of things.
Like, for aberrations and abnormal monsters, would that be the purview of nature, or would that be arcane?
I would say for Embrin, because she's lived here, I would say that would be a nature check.
Yeah.
But maybe in Carrick's case, it could apply to some schools of Arcana.
If knowledge of monstrosities, is that nature or is that arcana?
I mean, it could be either or. I mean, you would have studied all manners of fauna in the academy, so...
Can I make an arcane check then, to see, like, what kind of beasties might hang from a ceiling in a cave?
Sure.
I'll make that nature check at the same time, if that's alright.
25th.
Good job, because
25, wow.
I am so in the hole today.
Yeah.
Don't drink before the expedition. That's what the lesson is.
Eric just bounces back fast because he's a fucking wino.
Oh my God.
So,
New lore discovered.
he's a hedonist. We've already discussed this.
This is true.
All right, tell me all about the baby ropers, I imagine.
I mean, that is a possibility. Ropers are known to live in caves. Could be chouls. Could be all manners of things.
Yeah, as I make myself more nervous.
But I mean, like, if you had to venture a guess in terms of, like, what would be commonly found hanging around ceilings,
Yeah.
you would think there'd be, like, chokers, ropers,
Cloakers, dark mantles, fuck. Carrick, without elaborating on the ways that he just made himself paranoid and nervous by recalling like 20 different monsters this could be, is just gonna idly comment, just remember to pay attention to your surroundings. There are monsters that dwell on cave roofs that like to drop on unsuspecting prey.
Yeah, sword is pointing up at this point.
Okay.
Not like full arm extension, but like it's definitely pointed up.
Okay. Noted that Embrin's sword is pointed up, whatever that means. Finger guns at the ready for Carrick too.
Actually, for the first time, I'm gonna get my quarterstaff in my hands.
It's thick, girthy,
Whoa.
5 pounds
Look.
weight, feels good in your hands.
This is my wizard stick, not yours,
Whoa.
buddy, alright? If anyone's gonna narrate the wizard stick.
Please, Carrick, tell me how good your wizard stick feels in your hands.
I mean, it feels pretty okay, I guess.